Greg here. This is the AAR for the 24-hour endurance race at Shasta Supermoto. Alright, it took place at Shasta Supermoto kart track in Redding, California on February 3rd to 4th. Alright, yeah, 2 days, guys. 3rd to 4th of 2024. Alright, it's my first race of 2024, by the way. And I chose a good one. So this is the first time I've ever competed in a 24-hour endurance race. Okay, I've raced, like, I've done dirt bike races like Virginia City Grand Prix and hare scrambles and stuff, and in a way that's kind of like an endurance race, right? But this is 24-hour race on like a supermoto stuff is rough, guys. I'm not gonna lie. So so this is the after action review. All right, it's what was supposed to happen, what really happened, and things we could have done to improve. All right, and there's a lot of things we could have done to improve. All right, but anyway, I'm not going to go into too much detail, as I want to say, because I did a pretty good vlog. I vlogged everything as much as I could. All right, and I got a lot of craziness going on. All right, so anyway, so here's the story how I got signed up for this race. I've been racing with the Reno folks for quite a while now, and they recruited me. All right, Jeremy Callender, the dude I race, that, you know, he's the president of the Northern Nevada Kart Club. He or the Minimoto Kart Club. And he asked me if I wanted to race an endurance race, and I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll help you guys out, and all I gotta do is ride your bike, right? And then and yeah, so that was the scoop, and so they put me on Errol's team. All right, and then yeah, we've done a lot of prep. And we were testing bikes out all the way up until the race, is what I'm gonna say. But the weather's not so good this time of year, man. I tell you that, man. It is winter time, guys, and it's wet, and it's pissing rain, and it's cold. Yeah, dude, those are the kind of conditions we raced in, right? I don't know if I like it. I don't like it wet, I'll tell you that, man. Okay, yeah. So I was already kind of committed to doing it, all right? So, like, no matter what, we were gonna do it. To tell you the truth, I wish they had postponed the race a little bit. Because Hayesmaker does not like riding in the rain, guys. If you watched my Virginia City, the 50th Virginia City Grand Prix video, you'll know that, yeah, it is just miserable, and I don't like it. Some people do, all right, but I don't. So yeah, I'm on Errol's team, and Errol's been recruiting people for quite some time, and we got a team of 7 together. All right, people kept on, yeah, he kept on getting people, and they kept on dropping off and stuff. But yeah, by the end, we were able to get everybody together. Barely while we were there. So that's already the first difficult part, is to get your team of riders together. All right, I hadn't met some of our teammates until the day of the race, guys. So yeah, but the good thing is we all got some time on the bike. All right, so the bike that Errol built was his old KTM frame before he got an FS 450. So it's a KTM frame, all right, a full-size KTM frame, and with supermoto wheels, and it had a CRF 230 engine on it. All right, so here's a picture of it. Okay, and our team was called Team Ramrod, all right, from Super Troopers, all right, guys. If you guys know, if you watched the movie Super Troopers, you'll know Team Ramrod, all right. I was the one that suggested the name since nobody else made suggestions, that became our name. Okay, I just threw it out there, but anyway. So that was the bike. The bike was called the Ramrod. At least that's what I call the bike, the Ramrod 230. All right, so that's what I'm going to refer it to, Ramrod 230. Okay. And the interesting thing is, I've never ridden the 230 until then. All right, it's got a lot of torque, but it's kind of gutless. I'm not gonna lie, man. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a 230 with a bigger frame and better suspension. All right, and the brakes were very good on it. It had very good brakes. very good front brakes, and yeah, and so I did a test. I tested the bike. I only got to test the bike once. Okay, before we went and raced it. All right, we had a test day at Reading. Yeah, I went to Reading and we went there and practiced. And the track was wet when we practiced, so yeah, I actually got some wet practice in, which will be useful for the future. Okay, for the race is what I want to say. But yeah, I got to ride it. There were some problems with it. The clutch slipped. Like you would get on the throttle and the revs would just kind of go up and the bike wouldn't go anywhere. And that's, you know, classic clutch stuff. So remember that, right? Clutch. It had slick tires. I didn't mind the slick tires too much. I rode with the slicks in the rain, and you can ride with slicks in the rain. It's not ideal. Okay. We were debating whether we were going to use an auxiliary fuel tank. It's like a bigger fuel tank that you put on the handlebar, but we ultimately decided not to use it because it made the bike kind of handle weird when it was full of gas. All right. Yeah, we just wound up fueling up like every other rider switch. Okay. And so Hades and Mega has never done anything like this. Never done like a team race with like a 24-hour team race. Maybe we should do like a 12-hour race first, you know, like if you're going to race the Baja 1000, you probably don't want to race the Baja 1000 first. You probably want to work your way up to the 1000 mark, right? Yeah, so and yeah, I didn't know what to expect. Okay, obviously, yeah, you're going to have mechanical issues with your bike. You want to choose the most reliable bike, and that's why we went with the CRF 230 engine, okay? Because it's a Honda, and it's a tried and true, you know, air-cooled 230 engine. All right, it's not the most high-performance machine out there, but it gets the job done, just like my KLX. Okay, so also before the race, I had I pitched the idea that, hey, why don't we use my KLX 140 or KLX? It's a KLX 170, guys. All right, and why don't we use it as a backup bike? Because we didn't have a backup bike, and so yeah, I didn't think we were going to use it. I thought our bike was going to be good the whole time. All right, so yeah, that's why I threw it out there. It's just sitting in my backyard. This used to be the bike I raced before I raced the Suron. All right, so, and I just felt bad it was just sitting in the backyard all the time, and I have to say, it's still fun to ride. All right, I actually did get to practice with it. I practiced with it at Dixon with the whole Reno crew. All right, I think we had like 5 or 6 Reno teams. All right, we had 2 female teams. One of them was riding a KX65, and then the other one was riding a KLX 140. There's our team, Team Ramrod, with the Ramrod bike. There was 2 teams with Nighthawks. All right, one of them was the A team. That was a team of like ace riders. That's what they call it, the A team, guys. And then there's a Squid Factory. All right, they had the other Nighthawk bike, so that's 5. And then and they had I forgot. There was another team with the TTR 125. All right. Small bikes. So there was a lot of heavy. Yeah, so there was 3 classes to race, and nobody wanted to race a lightweight. All right, lightweight was up to like 50 cc's or something. So everyone raced either in middleweight or heavyweight. All right, middleweight are bikes up to 140 cc, like KX65, KLX 140, TTR 125. Those were the bikes that were racing in that category. Not too many, but in the heavyweight there was a lot. All right. Yeah, there was all the other bikes. All right, like the Nighthawk, our bike. So that's the class that we were racing in. All right, the heavyweight. Yeah, heavyweight mini. That's what we'll say. All right, and yeah, so that's the scoop. So everyone kind of showed up on Friday, the Friday before the race. All right, and like I mentioned, I did get some practice time on this bike at Dixon. Yeah, so I actually used this bike for practice to help get my endurance up. Right, I had been practicing like trying to get on the track as for as long as possible. When I rode the Ramrod bike at Reading, I went to see if I can get a ride for an hour straight on it. All right, and I could totally do it. All right, I could totally do it, but to do that for four more times. All right, that's the difficult part. All right, yeah, it's tough, man. Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna go into too much detail about what happened. Just everything that led up to what happened, and then you guys can watch the vlog. And I have a bunch of race videos. You can see what the race was like. It was us. It was everybody on the course. There was a lot of bikes. It was all I can say. It was kind of felt like a track day, guys. That's what it felt like. It's like you were doing a track day with a bunch of different bikes, all on the course, and yeah, you just got on the track for long periods of time. That's what I want to say. All right, and so we have to kind of manage our own time. The idea that we came up with was to, okay, ultimately this is what we came up with. Honestly, I wanted to just do 1 hour, all right? 1 hour on, and 1 hour off, 1 hour on. So we had a partner, all right? My partner was Nick Sisk, and I've raced him before in the Supermoto races. He's a pretty fast rider, and yeah, we killed it, man. Our team was, my partner team was pretty good, man. We had the best performance, is what I would say. All right, well, we had the least problems, is what I would say. But yeah, so the idea was that we came up with was we were gonna do when the conditions were ideal in i.e. the daytime. Okay, remember it's 24 hours. We're gonna race all day and into the night, into the morning, back into yeah. So the race started on the 3rd at 12 p.m. All right, or we just call that 1200 hours. It's a 24-hour race. You probably want to go through with the 24-hour clock. So the race started at 1200 hours on the 3rd. All right, and it finished at 1200 hours on the 4th. All right, so noon to noon is when we raced. All right, and yeah, so the weather, we already knew we were going to get rain. All right, we had been all watching the forecast, and to tell you the truth, the forecast got worse, and then it actually got better, you know, and then it kind of got worse again. All right, the good thing is the first day of racing, all right, on the 3rd or Saturday, was nice. The conditions were good. It didn't rain. It didn't rain until a little past midnight. All right, yeah, around midnight is when it started raining. All right, just a little bit, just a little trickle, and then it would just steadily go down more and more. All right, the plan that we came up with, and it was between us and our partners. All right, we had a total of like 6 or 7 riders. We had 7 riders, but we had to give one up. All right, we gave up Dave. All right. We sent Dave to the A team, all right, because the A team only had 4 riders, all right. That's going to be very rough on 4 riders, all right. So we gave him one of our guys, and I think Squid Factory gave up one of their guys to the A team also. And spoilers, guys, the A team won the heavyweight, all right. All right, so congratulations, Dave. We sent you to the winning team. Yeah, and it was one of the Reno teams. That's a good thing. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun. Anyway, the schedule that we came up with was we were going to do 45, 45, and well, we had 4 hours. All right, each partner team, all right, would do or we'll call it a fire team, man, or a squad. Each squad would do 4 hours. All right, and we would alternate. We get on, get off, get on, get off. So to keep us fresh, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, it is rough. It is rough on your body, man. Yeah, it's rough on your body. I was hurting. Actually, I was pretty good in the beginning, and then by the end of the first. So we had to do the 4 hours twice. All right. So our combined fire team was 8 hours. All right, it's 8 hours, and then another team does 8 hours, and another team does 8 hours. All right, and that was 24 hours. Okay, so but we were broken up into four hours. All right, so So for 4 hours, I had to go for 45 minutes, and then Nick went for 45 minutes, all right? And it was 45, 45, 45, 45, until we got up to 4 hours, okay? And so that went by without a hitch, all right? That's what I'm gonna say. It was pretty good, me and Nick. We had a whole bunch of mechanical issues with the clutch. The clutch kept on slipping. It turns out the springs weren't very good on that, and then because the clutch slipped a lot, it roasted the clutch blades. So it just kept on slipping again. So we replaced the clutch with the old clutch that was in there, and we put the stronger springs in there, and then it worked good. All right, we had no more clutch issues. And yeah, Errol had to take the bike apart freaking like twice. And then we ripped the gasket, and then he had to put some gasket sealer on it. So there's one of the improves, guys. Bring gaskets, all right? Bring gaskets for the bike that you're running with. Yeah, bring spares. All right, definitely clutch gasket. Clutch is one of the things that you're gonna want to look into. Right? Yeah. Another improve could be what some of the other teams did. There was this team of Asians, all right? They call them high flying Asians or something. That was the name of their team. They didn't have a backup bike, but they had a parts bike, is what they had. All right. So if their bike went down, they could salvage parts from their parts bike and put it on their race bike. All right. So that's actually a good idea. And then other teams had another improvement. All right, another good idea, guys, is to have two identical bikes. All right, so one of the teams had two TTR 125 bikes. All right, so you could use it as your backup bike, or you can use it as a parts bike. So that's what they use. And so yes, we did get backup bikes. All right, you get an A bike and you get a B bike. All right, and yeah, like I said, the KLX was the B bike. All right, and guess what? We had to use it. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I hadn't planned to use it, but it just happened, you know. So that was a scoop. We had problems with the clutch, and then we had problems with the brakes. Yeah, we needed to change the brake pads. All right, on the Ramrod bike, and yeah, it was all bad. But the front brakes worked really good. So. All I can say, my critique of the Ramrod bike was actually Arrow had it improved a whole lot. It improved a whole lot. All right, it was a great bike. It was a full-size bike. I'm not gonna lie, my KLX was easier to ride than it. The KLX, you can throw it around so much more easily. The KLX has a more willingness to turn. All right, whereas the Ramrod bike is just big and kind of more lazy to turn. Okay, kind of like my Alta, man. but boy, did it have good brakes. You could, after a while, you figure like, yeah, I can late brake really late. And we were right. I raced that bike in the dry, and yeah, I was late braking hard. Like, I could speed into the corner and then brake really, really, really hard, downshift a whole lot, and then throw it into the corner. There was the track had the really long straight. All right, they had the full straight. You can probably hit on like a full-size Supermoto, like a 450. You could probably hit 100 miles an hour on that straight. It's that long, all right. And it was counterclockwise, guys. The bike was running great after we ironed out all those little issues. All right, well, big issues, I guess. The clutch swap ate up a lot of our time. A lot of our time. Okay. Which sucked. That was kind of our downfall. All right, it took. We got almost last place. All right, the reason we didn't get last place was there was another team with CRF 230 that they crashed their bike and they had to retire. Okay, so that was a scoop there. Yeah, so the 230, all right, the CRF2, the Ramrod bike engine blew up around midnight. Okay, so it made it halfway through the race, guys, like about 12 hours. And so the KLX was up. All right, it's your time to shine, KLX. And I'm not gonna lie, this bike is in need of maintenance. All right, like I said, I just kind of scooped it up from the backyard. It just been sitting there, and I'm not gonna lie, it did need some maintenance. So here's some issues with the KLX. All right, the brakes, the rear brake, your rear brake pad need to be changed. All right, that was the easy one. I even have the freaking pads in my garage. There you go. I should have brought them, but I should have changed them before the race. And yeah, so also the rear brake fell off of the bike. So the bike did have rear brake, it just wasn't strong. All right, if I put the brake pad in there, it'll be good again. Right, the rear brake. And he's thinking he drags the rear brake a lot on this bike. All right, that's what I want to say. Yeah, actually the rear caliper fell off on one of the first rider that came to ride the bike. All right, and boy, it was stressful. I know what Errol feels like now. Since he was the one that put the bike together, he has to be the one to work on it. So he was kind of like the mechanic, the rider, the team captain, and manager, and all that stuff. Man, well, I got a little bit of taste of that after we switched to this bike, because it's my bike and I know how it works the best. You know I know how to work on it. So I actually had some bolts in my bolt thingy. So I put some new bolts in there. I slathered some RTV gasket maker on it. Yeah, and then we got it back on the road. All right, but the rear brake wasn't good, and we had problems with the throttle. All right, the throttle was sticky, and I knew it was sticky. All right, and and the rain. So it started raining, and then it got worse and worse. All right, the throttle got stickier and stickier and stickier, and sometimes it would just stay open. So that's really dangerous. So, all right, it happened to me. Well, I'd say about a handful of times. It's scary when it happens. I just have to remember. Oh, pull the clutch in, man! Pull the clutch in, you know. And yeah, and so what I had told the guys. Yeah, so we. After that, the first team that raced the bike, all right, after midnight, it was mine and Nick's turn up, and we're gonna ride my bike, all right. And the bike actually did surprisingly well, all right. And I told them, this bike is as fast as a 230. I can keep up with the 230 on this bike, and no shit, man. We were just as fast as the Ramrod bike on this bike, all right. This bike handles so much easier, all right. It's easier bike to handle. It's a KLX 140. It's super reliable, all right, and it's got a 170 bore-up kit, so it's got a lot of power, all right, for a 140. And yeah, so I think that was the only big issue. The caliper fell off, and then yeah, we had the that was the only big issue, was a sticky throttle. Yeah, there was a suggestion that we shoot some WD-40 down the throttle cable. Probably we should have done that, but I just told them, don't go past half throttle. You shouldn't have to go full throttle anyway, because we're riding in the rain. All right, it was wet, guys. It was super wet. I've never ridden in that much water ever. All right, I'm on a racetrack, on a wet track. Okay, so I got the wet track experience. All right. So I had a Shinko Stealth drag radial on the back, and then I've got I think it's a Bridgestone S20 on the front. All right. And they did fantastic in the rain, really good. People were surprised how good they were. All right, I think they're dot tires, so that it actually worked out really good. I remember we passed a lot of bikes. I passed a lot of bikes on this thing. Once it started raining, everybody started riding like slow, like 50%. All right, obviously, right? And so, as Hayes Mega also, I had to dial it back 50%. In some ways, the rain is kind of a blessing, all right? It's going to be less wear and tear on your bike. Your bike isn't going to get as hot. Your tires aren't going to wear out as fast. That kind of stuff, okay? But on the other hand, you're going to be miserable, okay? Actually, to tell you the truth, when you're riding out there on the bike in the rain, it's actually not too bad. You're just kind of focused on riding, and, you know, you're comfortable. You're having fun, you know? I'm not gonna lie, I had fun racing it in the rain. I passed a lot of people, man. Some of those, yeah, so that kind of shows some of the weaknesses of the bike. Some of the bikes weren't very good at riding in the rain, all right? Something where you can ride it like a flat tracker, where you can, you know, ride with your leg out, or you can dab, you know, when if the bike got too crazy. But yeah, my strategy was to just ride 50% and try to keep the bike upright as much as possible. Don't lean it too much, all right? But yeah, you can get it leaned over quite a bit, all right? And our team, they rode it pretty good. I was watching that. I was like, wow. Oh yeah. There was another problem with the bike is the rear shock. So the rear shock on this bike needs to be rebuilt. I knew that. All right. It just got progressively worse and worse. I rebuilt the shock myself, guys, and like a dumbass, I didn't change the shock seal when I did it. All right. All I did was I did a service. All right. Because I had to take the shock apart anyways to change the clevis on it. So, because it's a KX shock, all right. So if you guys don't know, this is a KLX 140 with a 170 bore up kit, all right. That's a rev box, the piston and the jug, and the cam, all right. And then it's got an exhaust. It's got a foam intake, and it's got Supermoto wheels. We're rocking 17-inch Supermoto wheels. Oh yeah, and it has KX suspension. All right, it has a suspension from a KX 85/100. All right, because they're the same. They have to use the same suspension, guys. So it's got a KX front fork and a KX rear shock. All right, and what I did is I flipped the triangle on the rear, and I made it an inch higher. So it's much taller than a stock KLX also. All right, I don't think it's as tall as a KX though. I look at the KXs and you can tell they got a lot of ground clearance, all right. But it's a fun bike to ride, all right. It's not as fast as a 150R though. Okay. But yeah, so yeah, the rear shock was blown and it was kind of flopping around. In my opinion, it actually it kind of helped a little bit. The suspension was softer in the rear, so you wouldn't have problems with the tires spinning so much. Okay, but yeah, he needs to rebuild that shock. I bought the seal head. I'm gonna go do it. All right. So after the race, yeah, I'm gonna refresh this bike. That's what I say. So we raced this bike for 12 hours. All right. So after me and Nick rode on it, we did really good, man. We passed so many people out there. I'm not gonna lie. The other bikes were really fast. They had some really fast riders. You would see the same bike out there, but it would have different riders. Some of them were slow riders, some of them were faster riders. All right. And so yeah, it was just kind of it was interesting to see how different people ride on the same bike. Yeah. So our lap times were about 50 seconds. All right. Yeah, around 50. Anywhere from 48 to like 55 seconds, like just under a minute was a lap. So that actually made it easier when to tell people to pit in. All right. So what our strategy was, well, we had to have a pit board. All right, and there's a clock near where the pit lane is, where you're supposed to, and that's how you communicate with the rider. All right. So it was actually pretty easy because one lap is like 1 minute. So you kind of had an idea when to tell them to go back in, right? So sometimes we would do like five laps is 5 minutes. So and we're supposed to, and let's say we're swapping every half hour. After midnight, we swapped every half hour, all right? Because we knew it was late at night, and we would be miserable out there. So what we did was we increased the rider change intervals, all right? So to keep our riders fresh, all right? And I'm not gonna lie, every time I pulled off, man, I would be hurting, man. My chest would be hurting, my back would be hurting, all right? So I've got to do some kind of chest exercises or something, all right? So that's already an improvement. I was hurting pretty bad. Okay, yeah, it's raining again, all right, and it was raining really bad, all right. So I'm not gonna lie, I went over it in the vlog. Just make sure you check out the vlog. But here's the scoop: when I was out there with Nick, it had started raining. It had just started raining, and the track was all wet, and then it just got progressively worse. Okay, guys, it got. I think the second time I went out, it got really bad. All right, the second and the third time I went out, it was pretty bad, man. Like, I could feel the rain hitting my face, and it was stinging my face. Yeah. And so also the gear that you use, is important. One important thing about racing in the rain is visibility. All right, so having like a anti-fog coating on the shield helps a lot. All right, and that's why I wanted to test my Liat helmet out, all right? So I just bought this, all right? I got sponsored by Liat, all right? Thank you, Liat. and I got this helmet. This is the Moto 3.5 helmet, and it comes with a 4.5 goggles. All right, and the goggles have like an anti-fog coating inside. All right, it's similar to like a pin lock. All right, if you have like a regular, like a sport bike helmet or something, they have like a pin lock insert there, and that keeps it from fogging up, and it works really, really good. All right, if you don't have it, then you have to like crack your visor up and down. I did bring my other helmet. I have an HJC helmet, and I remember I used that helmet at Reading when we were doing the testing, and I was fogging up on it bad. So I knew this is you probably want to try this out. All right, and you know what? It worked out great. All right, it was really, really good. All right. Oh yeah, I don't have it with me. In the daytime, I rode with my Liat gear. Okay, my Liat dirt bike gear. Hayes Mega's plan is to use that in the summertime when it's hot because it flows better. All right, than this thing. Okay, but at night, I said like I'm gonna wear this because it'll be more comfortable to wear. All right, because it's cold and leathers are they'll keep you warm. All right, and oh yeah, right here. I have this jacket here and the frog togs, all right? So one thing is you gotta have a jacket that fits over the suit that you're wearing, all right? And I'm having the problems with the elbows, all right? The elbows are too thick, and it makes the jacket is too tight. So I think Hayes Mega needs to buy like some kind of extra large or extra large jacket so it fits over the suit better, all right? Because so I wound up having to use this jacket, all right? This is a Costco jacket that I had. Alright, fortunately Hayes Mega never went down, alright, no mishaps, alright. I remember a couple times maybe the bike slid out and stuff a little bit, but I rode pretty safe is what I'll say. And according to my teammates, they said I was ripping it out there, okay, so I guess I must have been doing pretty good. I knew I could push the bike harder, but that's the thing about endurance racing, should you try to push harder, go faster, and race people? Or should you take it easy and try to conserve yourself and the bike? All right, the important thing is the bike. All right, the harder you ride the bike, the more stressed out it's going to be, and the more chances it's going to break. Okay, but the little KLX, it handled it just fine. It was crazy, man. It was raining so hard, you would see steam coming out of the bikes and stuff. So another thing, yeah. So I'm just going to go over some stuff that I observed real quick. And then just make sure you watch the vlog, and that's kind of like the story portion, okay, guys? But yeah, I'm just kind of going over some things that I've observed, okay? One thing is, this bike, we raced this bike for 12 hours, all right, guys? And you can tell that the left side of the tire, we'll take a look at the bike later. The left side of the tire here is almost bald, okay, guys? So you definitely gonna want an extra set of wheels. Okay, if you have an extra set of wheels, it'll be better because then you don't have to change the tire. Right? They had a Rabiconda tire changer, and they used that to change the tires on some of their bikes. All right. But I think it's helpful if you have other. It would be more ideal to have just another wheel so you can just swap the wheel. And it would be. Especially in this race, it would be good if you had a set of rain tires. Okay. I've never ridden with rain tires in the rain, but I heard they're very good in the rain. So, but it has to be like raining to use them, right? If not, they'll get really hot and wear out, But yeah, the bike did great. All right, Errol did crash it. All right, after I told him don't go past half throttle, and then he said the throttle got stuck. And he couldn't stop the bike, and he had to just like ditch it, and he went pavement surfing for quite a bit. I was like, so that sucks. I can see the handguard got here scratched up. All my foot peg sliders fell off of the bike. Yeah, so things that wouldn't normally happen to the bike happen in these endurance races, guys. Like the brake caliper falling off. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to secure the brake caliper, right? I have to, whenever I take the wheel off on this bike, I have to take the brake caliper off. It's such a pain in the ass, guys. So what Hayes Mega might want to do are get some bolts that have holes in it, and then use safety wire, all right, to secure them so they don't back out like it did now. Because I had been practicing on this bike, and I never had a problem with the bolts, but the bolts did back out, so... and that was the first time, that was the first rider that went on there, and then it happened, so... yeah, I gotta service the rear shock. And yeah, and everybody else rode pretty good. I was watching them ride my bike, and everyone liked it. So yeah, actually, also another thing I observed is the KLX is a very good endurance bike, right? It's a very durable bike. Okay, there, and from what I saw, is the KLX had the least mechanical issues out of all the bikes there. Okay, there was the one female team that had the KLX. There was there was the gray-haired piston pushers team. All right, that was one of the Reading teams. They had a KLX. They had the full-size KLX with knobbies on it, right? And it was stock bike, guys. And they got like second. Yeah, I think they got second place. Oh, they got second place in the middleweight division. Okay. Yeah, that's what I observed. Actually, there was some KX65s racing in the middleweight, and I was surprised they didn't blow those engines up. So those two strokes are actually pretty reliable. That's what I say. All right. This one I don't know. I started it up and I saw it smoking a whole lot. I'm hoping that just condensation in the exhaust or the steam coming out of the engine or something. I'll have to fire it up on a nice dry day and then see how it is. Okay. Anyway, yeah, we'll take a look at this bike in a different video, okay, guys, to show you the state of it after the 12 hours it did and that 24-hour endurance race. All right. Very likely, had we done the 24 hours on this, probably this tire would have been no good anymore. All right. But also another thing I observed about this bike is it's very thrifty on fuel. All right. The 230 that we're riding, the Ramrod bike, that thing guzzled gas. Okay, I think for like the 12 hours that we were out there with it, I think it ate up like 8 or 9 gallons or something, and we just kept on having to bring out fuel jugs for it and stuff. And I was just looking at the fuel, all our fuel, and I'm like, so fortunately that's one of the good things that we did. All right, so we had a lot of fuel. Everyone combined, we had fuel jugs, and we had a pool of fuel jugs to use. All right, so it worked out pretty good. And this bike is easier to fuel than the other bike too, because the filler hole is so teeny tiny on that KTM gas tank, man. Like, what the heck, dude? You can't like see in it, It would be nice to have one of those clear ones or something, But yeah, this bike is very thrifty on fuel. Every time they pulled in, there was already like half a tank. I'm sure so what we did wound up on this bike, we refueled every hour. All right, so every 2 rider switches we would refuel it, and consistently it would be half a tank. All right, so we knew very likely we probably could have gone out for 2 hours on it, and probably wouldn't have run out of gas. All right, or we would have to switch to reserve. Okay, never did we run out of gas though. That's good. Some of the other teams, they did run out of gas. Yeah, so that's one of the limiting factors on how long you can stay out there, is how much gas. Some of the bikes were thirsty. All right, this is not one of them. Right, this bike is very fuel efficient. Okay, it's a little sipper, and it's very efficient because it can keep up with a 230 also. So, all right. Yeah, so it got a little banged up. That's what I want to say. And yeah, so. And then in the end, we wound up getting like second to last place. Okay, guys, I don't remember how many laps. I'll put a subtitle below. We'll get an email with all the results. I think we did around 1,200 or 1,300 laps, somewhere around there. Okay, guys, for 24 hours, and pretty much every lap is a minute. So, so if you were out there for 30 minutes and nothing bad happened, you did about 30 laps. All right. Maybe a little bit more, because we're a little bit faster than a minute. All right. Yeah, this is still pretty incredible bike, is what I'm gonna say. All right, I like it a whole lot. That's why I haven't got rid of it yet. It's that's why I call it Old Faithful, right? All right, and I'll do some maintenance on it, man. Yeah, it needs a lot of work, man. But I'll take my sweet time on it. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want an endurance bike to soar on. That's for sure. Our electric bikes aren't there yet for endurance racing. Yeah, so the helmet worked really good. My gear worked pretty good. These frog togs, they work really good. The pants, they were the pants part of my suit was dry when I pulled it off. I couldn't believe it. Right, this got pretty wet. The top of the jacket got pretty wet, but for the most part, I was pretty dry. Actually, I felt like I was in like a kind of sauna suit. Well, the first time I went out there, I was like, man, I'm sweating a whole lot. I got all this crap on, you know. But as it rained more and more, it just got more and more miserable out there. It was awful, man. But these goggles were great. I could see pretty well even in the rain. All right, even the rain in the night. You know, we didn't have a headlight. They had these generator lights and stuff, and yeah, and I thought it was pretty good. You know, thanks to Mark for he's the president of the Shasta Supermoto Club, and he's the one that, you know, he helped put this event together. Him and Jeremy Callender. It was a lot of fun. I don't think anybody's ever done a 24-hour race, a mini bike race, in NorCal. I know that. So hats off to them. It was a great event. Maybe next time don't do it in the wintertime. Okay. Yeah. But I had a whole lot of fun. I had a lot of fun riding. I passed a lot of people, and a lot of people passed me. You know, I know who the fast riders are, man. It was great hanging out with all those people and stuff. And yeah, we had like a nice pit area and everything. Make sure you check out the vlog video, okay, guys? So that's kind of the extent what I just kind of went over, you know, things that I observed, all right? So bring lots of fuel for sure. You probably want to bring extra tires, all right? Bring rain tires just in case it's going to rain. And we knew it was going to rain, all right? We knew it was going to rain like 4 in the morning according to the forecast. And actually it rained earlier than that, all right? It started raining around like 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And it didn't stop. It got worse and worse. You know what? You know another interesting thing? Oh, I didn't get a video of it, all right? My very last race, all right? My last race interval that I went out and did on the bike, the sun came up, all right? Sorta. It was cloudy, all right? But it was kind of nice watching the sun come up, and you know, oh, they can turn the lights off now. We can see where we're going now, and yeah, it was kind of cool. I've never done that before. Yeah, I've never raced until the sun came up. It was fun. Yeah. So our team was the one that, you know, when was the sunrise, all right? And so after, when Errol and Dylan had to go race on the last 4 hours, the weather just got worse, man. Like, the weird thing is when the sun came up, it got really cold. You would think it would be the opposite, right? When the sun comes up, it would get warmer, right? But no, it got really cold, I noticed, and it rained a lot more. It was just piss and rain. By the end of the race, the rain was going like sideways. That's how bad it was. There was wind, cold, and rain. It was miserable, right? But everyone they raced out there, and they said they were having fun. They're having fun out there riding. If you were out there riding, you were having fun. But when you came back and you had to wait and you're like shivering in the cold and there, yeah, no good. All right. Oh, another thing is that we had I didn't go over this in the vlog, but we had a trailer. All right. Arrow has like an RV trailer, and he let us use it to change our gear. It really helps because the facilities at Reading, there's like none. Okay. He had like a RV toilet. He had like a kitchen. He had like beds and stuff. We could sleep in there. Yeah, and one thing to improve is I forgot my freaking airbed. I'm looking at it right now back there. I forgot my airbed, and I didn't get a good night to sleep the night before the race. All right? I slept in my RAV4, and I didn't have my airbed, and my back was sore when I woke up. I could do that when I was young, sleep on the floor without any kind of mat or anything, but my bones are old and, you know, crusty and stuff. So yeah, it didn't like that, all right, and I was hurting. So yeah, my legs. Yeah, and so after the race, my legs were hurting pretty bad. They're hurting pretty bad. My hips are hurting. My thighs are hurting. All right, I ride leg out, kind of flat tracker style. Sometimes I ride knee out. You know, if I'm kind of, I can't. My leg it hurts. You know, thing. Also, I did use I didn't have them here. But okay, these are the boots that I used for the race. I did have my Liat dirt bike boots. However, I didn't feel comfortable riding with it. I don't feel comfortable riding this bike with them, right? The dirt bike, right? The Ramrod bike, I did feel comfortable riding with them, right? But I didn't. Okay, and I felt like my feet would probably feel better if I was using them, right? But it's hard for me to operate the controls unless I'm wearing these boots, all right? and these boots are perforated. They're kind of more for summer, all right? And yeah, it was all bad, dude. So my suit setup for the rain, all right? I wore my Cortec leathers here, all right? My Cortec Apex leathers, and I had a Frog Togs pants, and I had my Costco jacket here, and it worked pretty good. Actually, my whole body was fine, all right? And with the helmet and everything, it was fine. Except for my feet. My feet were the only thing. And you know what? Hades Omega. You know Hades Omega. He hates wet feet, man. I am an adventure rider, and you know I do ride in the rain, but not by choice. Okay, guys. And I hate doing water crossings and getting my feet wet. Okay, guys. So and my feet were soaking wet after we were done racing. I could not wait to get out of this boots. My socks were wet. Yep, there they are. That worked pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with these Frog Togs. I think it would be worth it to get like a whole suit, oversuit for thing. If you knew we were gonna race in the rain, that would be good. And it's really lightweight, you know. Now you see I've crashed with it a couple times. So these are actually, I use these for adventure riding because my pants aren't waterproof. This jacket, it worked okay. It worked okay for a while, but then after a while it got saturated. It's not really a rain jacket, all right, but it's like semi-waterproof, all right. It's like it worked okay. There's a big rooster tail on the back of it now from water hitting it. From I guess the fender didn't block everything. So we'll say. Okay, and yeah, check out the race footage. I got most of the footage of when I was out there, all right? So you guys can see what it was like out there. There was a lot of, you know, I was racing with a lot of people. I got footage of me on the Ramrod bike and footage of me on the KLX, all right? The KLX is like, yeah, it's a lot different, and it's at night, so, and everyone rode totally different at night. Almost everyone, you know. But I felt pretty comfortable riding this bike in the rain. It was good. I was surprised how good it did in the rain. It doesn't have like a whole lot of power, so you know you don't have to worry about it like the freaking Redshift. Spin the tires and just freaking low side. That happened to me on that track when I took the Redshift there, man. So yeah, that's a scoop. Make sure you check out the race vlog. All right, guys. That's the what really happened. All right, portion of the story. This was just a after action review where I went over how I got recruited to do this, and things that I noticed, all right, during the race, all right, things that would be good for next time, all right. I think it would be better just to do a 12-hour race, man. I don't really want to. I don't not really dig into 24-hour race, you know. But if I was to do it, probably in the summertime. Because it would probably be awful in the I know it would be the opposite. It would be awful in the daytime. You'd be hot and sweaty, but at night it would probably be good. All right, that or it's just hot. And I'm not gonna lie, when it gets hot in Reading, it sucks, man. I'm telling you. I've raced in Reading a bunch of times, and it's always hot, man. It's awful. It's either too cold or it's too hot. That's how it goes, man. I'm a fair weather racer, but I never get the fair weather. Okay, thanks for watching. Hey, swing out. I know there's so many things I could say. That all I can say is it was a great experience doing it. I had a whole lot of fun. I didn't expect to take my little buddy out and race it, but we did, and it did excellent. All right, and I gotta go treat it right. We'll go do the maintenance on it. All right. I've been wanting to do some work on this bike for a while. All right, I want to make it faster, and there's a bunch of parts that we can put on it that will make this bike even faster than it is. But for a 170, I only threw like $300 into the engine, and it's fast. It's really fast. It blows a stock KLX 140 out of the water, man. You'll easily pass a 140. And the 230, you can keep up with the 230. The only thing the 230 has more than this bike is torque, so you can pull out of the corners better, okay? But this bike is surprisingly fast, all right? I built a little monster machine here, all right? This bike is actually just as fast as the Sauron too, by the way, all right? But it's not as fast as a 150R. I've tried racing in 150Rs with it, and it's no way. Okay, and the KX65 with a good rider, it's gonna be tough. That's what I want to say. All right. That's where the lightness of the light beam comes in. Okay. But it's still a joy to ride. I love riding this bike. It's so comfortable, and it does what you want it to do. It's got great ergonomics. It's got great power for for its size. It's easy to put fuel in the gas tank, unlike the KTM tank. Yeah. Well, good job, buddy. I will do a separate video on how the bike looks after the race. Okay, guys. But it's still here on the rack. I gotta get it off. Right. Okay, thanks for watching. Hazemig out. Check out the race vlog and the race videos. All right. I don't know how I'm gonna do it quite yet, but I'll probably just have all the videos, all the race videos, and then I'll do the vlogs, or maybe I'll just do it in order. I don't know. All right, Hazemig out. Oh yeah, I wore these winter gloves, and they kept my hand pretty dry. So we'll see. Alright, hey, Hazemig is back with a couple more things I noticed about the race. Alright guys, so one of the things was it's nice to have a person dedicated to staying in your pit. Okay, so we didn't have that person. Alright, all of our riders were the pit crew. Alright guys, so and in the daytime it was okay. Alright, most of the people hung out in the pits, most of the crew hung out in the pits is what I'm gonna say, but like at night, yeah, people need to sleep, they need to rest, they need to get, they need to get ready to when they go back out to race again. All right, now, it was super stressful when our A bike broke, and then we had to take out the B bike, right? And then and Errol was like, he's the one who built the other bike, all right? And then this is my bike, so, and yeah, and then he was just like, just go get the backup bike and go race. And I was like, and then I woke up too when they came to get him, and I was like, shit, I think I better go out there and see what's going on. So, and sure enough, they're having trouble starting the bike, this and that. The brake caliper fell off the bike. I had to fix it. It's good to have somebody in the pit crew that knows how to work on the bike. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, I know the Squid Factory team had Jeremy on their team, so Jeremy did a lot. Jeremy was supposed to race in the race, all right, guys, but Jeremy got hurt, and so he couldn't race. So he wound up being kind of like a pit crew / team manager type thing, okay? And it helps a lot, all right? Because when you're tired, you don't want to be messing around with the bike. Like I said, I was really stressed out because of that. And so I literally almost got no sleep. I could only like lie down and close my eyes for maybe like an hour, and then I had to go work on my freaking bike. Yeah. All right. Sorry, it started raining. But anyway, yeah. So it's good to have someone dedicated to staying in the pits. All right, and they can, and that's not a racer. All right, because people need to rest all the time. Or you can have, if you have extra personnel, you can have them do shifts, right? Someone is there in the daytime, someone's there in the evening, and then if there's like a lot of problems, you can wake the other person up, and then they can help out. I tell you this, man, like, when something happened to the bike, I don't know what to do to the bike. It's not my bike. I don't know how to work. I don't really know how to work on it. So we had to get Errol to fix the clutch, right? And then yeah, I had to stay out there and watch my bike. Because if anything happened to it, it's my bike. I know my bike better than anybody else. So that's why it was really helpful to have me out there, right? And then even after that, after the bike was out on the track, I was helping, with the pit signs and everything. Having to have your teammate do that back and forth is kind of annoying, especially when it's piss and rain. Now that's one of the things I did not want to do, was stand in the pit sign area and and be in the freaking rain, man. It's just awful, man. Oh, and bring an umbrella, all right? That's one thing Hazemig has learned. Bring an umbrella. Hot, cold, bring an umbrella. I'm gonna invest in a good umbrella, all right? Because even when it's hot, you could still use an umbrella, all right? It's good to have some kind of shade, but yeah, in this case, it was raining. It was piss and rain, and it was just miserable being out there in the rain. If you had an umbrella, it would be a little bit better. You wouldn't be, getting shat on by the rain, man. So yeah, I think an umbrella would be a good thing. All right, a big one, a nice one. All right, and then yeah, so we didn't have, and yeah, so that that pit mechanic or pit master or whatever we want to call them, they can they can run errands. All right, they can do the stuff, you know, so the riders don't have to do it. The important thing is managing stress of your riders. All right, you don't want to overstress your riders. You want them to focus on one thing, and it's racing. You know, if you're tired, you know, it's rough. You know, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of at my limit after I was done riding. I was tired. My first 2 hours, or the 4 hours that me and my team had to do, my partner, I was wiped out, man. My shoulders were hurting and all that stuff. Having to ride the bike for like 2 hours, you know, and then we had to go again and do it at night. And dude, I was hurting every time I came back. I was like, oh. The funny thing is, once I hop back on the bike, I'm totally fine. so that's the good thing. At least, you know, you'll be fine. You know, I didn't have any kind of issues while I was on the track. So that's the good thing. Medical issues. That's what it's there, right? So having a pit crew member would help a lot. So if you got somebody like that, somebody that knows the bike too. So yeah, I mean, it must have been. I know what Errol felt like, you know, when when we had to keep on getting him. Hey Errol, something's wrong with the bike. The clutch is slipping again. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, what are we gonna do? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I didn't build this bike. You know, it was Errol's bike. So yeah, and it's the same thing with the KLX. You know, some of the other teams did have dedicated. You know, other teams had people in the pits all the time. So if you could find somebody to stay in the pits, it would be great. You know. Just, you know, feed them and try to keep them comfortable. Like at least have a tent, you know. Yeah. So tires. So another thing is tires, guys. So I looked at the KLX. We'll take a look at the KLX when it stops raining, man. But the rear tire on the KLX is almost done. All right, the whole left side of the tire is done. Why? Well, because we're going counterclockwise, guys. So most of the turns are going to the left. That's why the left part of the rear tire is almost gone. Nearly all the riders, all the teams that the tire, you know, wore out, it wore out on the left. All right, and ours was an only team, and this was only 12 hours. It looks pretty. It's not bald yet, but it's not good. Okay, and yeah, it would have been all bad. That's what I want to say. If we had to use this tire for 24 hours, I guarantee you it wouldn't have lasted. Okay, so it's helpful to have, for the rear at least, you know, have another spare rear wheel lying around. All right, so you don't have to change a tire, you just change the wheel. All right, guys, that would make it a lot easier. Yeah, make sure you're checking the oil, you know, all that stuff, all the basic maintenance stuff. All right, maintenance is very important in a 24-hour endurance race, is what I'm gonna say. All right, and then yeah, your bolts, man. Make sure you use safety wire or glue as many of the bolts as possible so they don't come off. There were so many bolts coming out of the bike. The bolts came out of the handlebars. My foot pegs are supposed to have foot peg sliders on it, but they were gone when they came back. I don't know what the hell happened to them, man. And what else? The brake caliper fell off. The bolts that were holding my handguard on fell off. Yeah, man. I don't know. There was only one person that was complaining about about the handguards on my bike too. He said, I don't know, he couldn't hit the brake. I was like, I don't know what the problem is. It's fine for me, man. I don't know what you're complaining about. You must have some weird riding style where, like, you know, he's touching my handguards or something. All right, but yeah. Also, but that, you know, that goes to show, like, yeah, you should have somebody around, you know, a mechanic around or something where if the rider wants, you know, to do something, we can do it, you know, if it's not too annoying. But yeah, I just left them on there, and we kind of you have to have a handguard on the bike, guys. You can't not have a handguard, because if the bike goes down, it needs something to slide on, and that's what the handguard's there for. It protects the bike and the pavement when you hit the ground. Okay, so another thing I noticed was some of the smaller bikes, they had a little red light on the back. Like a kind of one of those like bicycle lights, you know, the lights in the back of a bicycle. They have ones that flash and stuff. They had put one of those on the back of their bike, and all I can say is it makes the bike much more visible at night, especially if you're riding a bike that doesn't have a headlight, like our bike, you know. Lots of the bikes did have headlights. I have to say, man, like I guess when you were off the track and you were looking at the bike, man, the glare from those off-road headlights, they're so bright, man. But I guess on the track it helps. So, what was it? The little red lights. Okay, yeah, we're talking about the little red lights. Yeah, if you could attach a little red bicycle light to the back of your bike, it makes a big difference, guys, when people seeing you on the track. Especially for bikes that are passing you. All right. I noticed, like, I could see and recognize the bike much faster when it had the red light. You know, I could see the red light, then I could see what the bike looks like. We're supposed to have a reflective tape on our bike, you know, for when it's dark at night. But yeah, it doesn't. It's not as good as a little red light, all right, guys. So that's a great idea, to put a little red light on the back of your bike. So it lets people that are gonna pass you see you. It's safe. It's a safety thing, all right. And also it helps the other riders that are gonna pass you. That, you know, they can see you a lot better. So I remember it. I could see the bike faster, so I can plan my attack faster. That's what I was saying. I can formulate a plan. Okay, I'm gonna pass this bike. I don't know where, but yeah, you can see. I remember that. I appreciated that on the track, is what I'm gonna say. All right, as a racer. Okay, so another issue was the batteries, man. Batteries don't like cold weather. We were racing in cold weather. Try to put the freshest batteries in your stuff, but like I put a fresh pair of battery in our GPS, and it didn't even last. Like, it didn't last that long, man. It just kept on dying and dying. I was like, and then I replaced the batteries again. It worked for like about an hour, and then it died again. I was like, what the hell? What lives, man? It was like 40-something degrees at the track, all right? The batteries don't like that temperature. Especially the starter battery. The starter battery didn't want to start the bike either, man. And so we had to kind of bump start the bike. I was trying to start the bike with a little jump starter pack. It still didn't want to start. If at all possible, try to keep your batteries warm, guys. They don't like cold weather, all right? Even my little jumper pack, I brought a jumper pack just for that reason, just in case the bike didn't want to start, and like at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock at night when it's freaking cold, it didn't want to start, man. I charged the battery before we left too. I started it multiple times in the daytime just to keep it warm and see if it would start, you know, and it was fine. But at night, no. It was so not behaving, is what I'm gonna say. All right, I got home from the race. I fired the bike up. It fired right up. I was like, "What the? You weren't doing that during the race, bro. What's going on?" So it's the batteries, man. The batteries don't like that. I mean, even if you have enough power to crank the bike, you still need power to run the electrical system to, you know, provide spark for the bike. So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that was one of the observations I had, man. These batteries, they don't like the cold weather, man, and it just shit, man. what can I say? Just do what you can to like get, you know, the electricals working the right way, you know. And yeah, like, because Arrow's bike didn't have any problem starting. I'm not gonna lie, I probably should have changed the battery on this bike. I knew the battery had been sitting around my backyard for a while, and it's not cranking as good as possible, you know, and that kind of bit us in the butt during the race. But this bike has a lot of character, is what I'm gonna say. Okay, my KLX, this thing didn't want to start if it was cold or hot. Okay, whenever they would come back in, they would pull in and the bike would just die. It wouldn't freaking idle, right? So maybe I should set the idle higher. I'm not sure, man. And then when it's cold, it didn't want to start. We had to jump it, you know, or push start it or something, man. And yeah, we had all sorts of freaking problems trying to get this bike started, man. Every time it came in, the starting would be kind of weak, man. It wouldn't crank so well. Yeah, it was all bad, dude. Maybe my starter's going bad. That could be a problem. So I think that might be one of the problems, is probably maybe the starter's going bad. Also, this is a KLX 170. I heard that modified KLX 140 engines have a problem cranking the bike over. They need more power to crank the bike over. So they actually have a more powerful starter you can install on it that will get it started easier. So yeah. So there is that. Okay. So So yeah, yeah, just make sure your bike is in a good state of tune is what I want to say, man. That's all I can say. All right. Then yeah, so speaking of the, also I did mention for the electricals, the GPS batteries kept on dying. So I think one thing that would be good for the future is to hardwire your GPS to the bike or whatever device you're using on the bike to keep track of time, right? I just kind of threw that out there, you know. I wanted to add a GPS to the bike so we could keep track of our time, all right? And in the 24-hour race, keeping track of your time is very, very important, guys, okay? You always have to have, like, I was using my phone, all right, guys? I was using my phone to keep track of time, all right? So maybe it's just one of those times, Merlin, you should wear your watch. I do have a watch, I just don't wear a watch anymore. It's not comfortable, so I used to wear watches and I don't anymore. But yeah, having a watch might be a good idea so you can tell your time all the time. And just have a a clock everywhere, okay, guys? Have a clock in the pits. Yeah, have a clock at your pit. Have a clock in, you know, wherever your rest area in the trailer is. Have a clock on the bike, okay? I mean, it's nice that I'm telling you this now, man. It is nice to have a clock on the bike, all right, or just any kind of device to tell time on the bike, and one that you could see at night, obviously. And the GPS, you could do that. So maybe next time that will be a good idea to like hardwire a GPS on there. That way you don't have to worry about, you know, the batteries dying, all right? Or you can bring multiple batteries, all right? That could be another thing. I brought 2 sets of batteries, guys, 2 sets, and they both died on us, man. And I was like, this GPS is supposed to be, I'm not gonna lie, this GPS should be pretty battery efficient, man. Usually one battery lasts like 10 hours, and well, I didn't think about it. 24 hours is quite a long time, and it's moving all the time. And we need to use the backlight at night, so it's gonna go through the battery even faster, all right? I tried to turn the brightness down all the way. You know, it's really dark out there. You don't need a lot of light to see the display, man. But yeah, dude. In the daytime, you can turn the backlight off, and you can see it in the daytime. You don't need a backlight in the daytime. It's a great display, but yeah, man, it's just yeah. So, well, what might help? Somebody on our team suggested that we get a lap timer module and put it on the bike, and then that way we can check our lap times too on the bike. So it would be nice. So, yeah, good stuff, man. But yeah, having some kind. Like, in all honesty, you know, and if you just wanted to keep it simple, get like some cheap kind of watch from Walmart for like 20 bucks, man, and wrap it around the handlebar, or tape it, glue it, so make sure it doesn't come off. All right, guys. Maybe get one of those the ones that has like a Velcro band around it, and you know, strap it around the handlebar or something. Boom, you got a clock, and you got something to look down. I know some riders, you know, they're so focused they don't want to look at it and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to know where you're at out there, you know. I was when the GPS didn't work and I was going around the track, I was like, shit, man, like sometimes you're wondering like how much longer do I have to go, you know. I'm feeling kind of tired. I feel like I've been out here for a while, you know. One of the teams actually put a clock out where the pit entrance was, the pit entrance and exit. There was a big, I wouldn't say big, man. It was one of those big round clocks, you know. It has the hands and everything, and like, yeah, that's the only clock that I could look at out there, man, when ours died, and I could barely read it. I could barely see the numbers or the hands on it. I was like, oh man, I can. And you're going so fast, you know, around the corner. You're trying to focus on what you're doing. You don't have time to look at the clock, you know. That's why if you have a clock on your bike, it's much better, okay, guys? So have a clock. But yeah, I have to say, next time, put clocks everywhere, man. It helps to be able to track time.